iPads are useful for their purpose, but they are no substitute for brains.
All right, here we go.
I have to say, well done, Ray. Well done. Well played, my adversary. Well played.
Phoenix isn't gay, but if he was, he'd pick Fremont.
Oh yeah, he'd be living down there with you in the bunker, man. Woo!
Once you go free, you always do the Z.
Like one day I'm not going to Duncan, and you could get a controller, a new Xbox, possibly even a cord.
And now, the two guys that took 2 years to fix their audio problems.
Welcome to BGFG, episode 449. I'm your host, Chris Phoenix, and joining me, as always, my co-host, my brother from another mother, the birthday boy himself, Mr. Fremo Z. How are you doing, good
And I
sir?
have the picture to prove it.
Yes, that is a great picture. So how was your
just died laughing.
how was your week been?
It's been good. I did a short work week. Had a long weekend. Gotten a lot of stuff done around the house, blisters included.
Ooh, that's a shovel blister, isn't it?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, buddy.
that and a brush hog blister.
A what hog?
Brush hog.
I don't know what that is.
Come on down and find out.
No, that sounds like manual labor.
It's got a gas powered engine on it, so it's not that manual.
Okay, that's fair.
No, okay. So you know what a bush hog is, right? You hook up behind a tractor.
No.
Okay.
Does it clear the
basically-
field?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like not just grass, but it'll knock down, brush, small trees, whatever.
Okay.
So this is a walk behind version of that.
All right.
It's self-propelled, but you still have to.
Sounds easy.
Yeah.
But you still have to,
And
you have to
run
control it.
So,
right.
You run it. And that way you're not spending thousands of dollars buying a heavy piece of equipment and having to maintain it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we're getting rid of our, we have a large snowblower. And it's just, like I told the wife, I was like, doing the sidewalks, I live on a corner lot, doing the sidewalks and everything is great, but it's so big. It's designed for a 6-car driveway. I don't have a 6-car driveway.
What is this we're talking about?
A snowblower?
No idea.
No idea, yeah. Down south, 3 inches kills you people. 3 inches doesn't even slow us down. But yeah, it's so big and ornery that if the snow gets packed down at all, or it's a heavy, wet snow, it's uncontrollable because the machine just wants to keep going. Kind of like I would assume your brusher, your brush thing. The machine doesn't give a fuck. The machine's just going. So
once you get engaged the drive on it, it's going. It's going.
Yeah. Our snow blowers are the same way. And I was just like, it's not worth it. It's too big. Like I'm trying to muscle the thing every time I get near a corner or. Yeah, no. I'm beyond shovels now.
Snow shovel and.
Nope. Did the shoveling, had kids. They did the shoveling. Now the kids are all grown up and more or less gone. So
you have some extra money.
It's just the wife and I.
A snow blower. Yeah, I got you.
No, I'd rather do a snow shovel. You know what I mean? One of those electric shovels than a large snow blower. It's just for the 1 or 2 times a year that we get over a foot, I'll chop it down with a electric one.
Okay.
Why are you selling? That's the sound of no non-approval.
I mean, if you want to interpret, I don't give a rat's ass as non-approval, that's fine.
All right, let's get to this week's news.
BGFG News. You heard it here third.
So first up in the news this week, we got to ask ourselves, did the Chinese just cure diabetes? People complain, and I want to make this clear because I thought about this as I was going through the show notes. people complain about different things. I can't believe you're doing a story on China, or I can't believe you're doing a story on North Korea, whatever you feel like. Look, there's dickheads in every country, and there's good people in every country, right? So scientists are going to be scientists, whatever language they speak. It doesn't matter. They're just going to do what they can do to the best of their abilities. And a team from the Shanghai Shenzhen Hospital, using cell therapy, did a cell transplant in 2021. And within 11 weeks, the patient no longer needed insulin. This is a huge step, not just for the medical field, but for China itself. And I didn't even realize this part. I mean, it's huge globally. But China currently has the highest number of diabetes patients globally. And that needs to be addressed. And
Thank
now
you, McDonald's.
Yeah.
Don't think we're not waging our own war back against them in different ways.
Giving you McDonald's and Kentucky Fried. Excuse me. So now all they need to do is like a larger case study on it. And this will stop 40 million people in China that are dependent on insulin. That's huge. Right now, just in 11 weeks, they're not taking insulin anymore. That's gigantic.
Well, what's interesting is I'm sure we've got things on our end in this country that are doing similar type work and studies, but we'll never see it.
Big Pharma. Big Pharma will never let that happen. Insulin's a huge, and that's the problem with our country. And I love, please feel free to send us a text message through our link in the show notes, because we'd love to hear from you, because we get shit on all the time for those different stuff that we say. But look, facts are facts. Big Pharma in this country is out of control, where you have people, the industry that my wife works in, you got people that literally can't get electricity. They can't get water. They can't get health medication. When you have to sit there and decide whether you pay rent, you eat, or you take your medicine, that's a friggin' problem. And that's a problem here. Oh, there's problems like that all around the world. Yes, there is. Let's first of all look at the country. It shouldn't be at all. But let's look at our country first and how dependent it is. So stopping diabetes is a big thing and an important thing. You know what else is stopping? The London Evening Standard.
I was going with your heart, but okay.
Eventually, at this rate, it will. The London Evening Standard. Now, around here where I live, there's pretty much no more print paper. There's very few. But the London Evening Standard is a 200-year-old newspaper, and it's going to stop its daily printed publication, switching to a weekly publication instead. And what I thought was cool is that this paper was handed out for free at bus stations and train stations, which I think is genius, because, all those people have is nothing but time to read. And so you handed these out for free. They don't have to pay for them. But after the pandemic, more people work from home, so the paper's numbers declined, and in turn, ad revenue declined as well. And as we know from, especially if you're listening to the show enough, that when you're not making money on ads, you're not making money, and that's a problem.
Right. Yeah, I would imagine between remote work and the proliferation of Wi-Fi infrastructure that.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to get better connection in a subway tunnel.
First of all, you're operating at a loss because you're giving it away.
Yeah.
And then if your ad revenue dips even in the slightest, which, nobody's paying for newspaper ads. Not when you can have it targeted directly to the people you want to via social media. I mean, it just,
Yeah, it's not going to, and you were mentioning social media. Let's talk a little bit about privacy policies. That shit's getting out of control too. Like completely out of control.
I don't think privacy policies exist. I think what exists is, what will you allow us to sell by using our app? What information are you okay with letting us sell?
Yeah,
because if you use our app, we're going to do this.
And what Fremo's talking about is the EULA. And a lot of people don't realize that. The EULA is End User License Agreement. This is the thing you click on real through. Like you say yes, or next.
Agree.
And people don't realize it. Now, we haven't talked about this in a while because we didn't think we had to. But, there's geeks out there like myself and Fremo that have spent a time or two reading the End User License Agreement just to see. And back in the old days, it was at the dawn of the internet, those EULAs were very easy to read. And it was like, oh, okay, this is what you're going to do. And, oh, okay, this is how you're going to attach yourself to my computer. And this is how you're going to work. And this is how you're going to share information. Oh, cool. Now it becomes a whole bunch of legalese that you can barely understand. And it allows companies to essentially sell your data to third parties for marketing purposes. Now, as we've talked about on the show before, marketing is not that bad. If I go in to a certain website and look at A, B, and C, yes, I want ads that are related to A, B, and C. But it's since gotten way out of control. Many of these companies look at the stats and make sure that you find what you're looking for with the ads that are relevant to you, which is great. But make no mistake, not all of these EULAs are created equal. They design and word them so that you don't want to read them. Last time I looked at one, I was like, dude, I don't want to. This is, I literally did 2 scrolls and I'm not even close to moving it. Instacart's new policy gives it the right.
Wow.
Insane, right? Instacart's new policy gives it the right to retain and sell a wide range of customer details, including psychiatric diagnosis, birth and age, and even license plate numbers. It declared plans for the moment to ignore do not track browser settings. So you have the option on your phone, your iPhone, your browser at home to opt out and do not track, which is great. Okay, don't track me on as to what I'm doing on your site. You have my information. You have that I'm on your site, and if I go into the shopping cart, that's gonna allow you to track what I purchased or what I'm about to purchase. But anything else I look at, I don't want you tracking me. And so now Instacart's going to have a setting, do not track browser settings, is going to be shut off and it's going to be ignored. And it said it might choose to share customers' personal health information, and I quote, in connection with a business transaction or a bankruptcy proceeding.
Yeah, I have no idea how they can get away with that. That just to me smacks of HIPAA violation.
Oh, and though Instacart, and now, good. Instacart does a lot of stuff. Instacart, you can get medicine, you can get food. Instacart does a lot of different things. So the fact that they're this loose with your information is a freaking problem. They also wrote that they disclose personal information without prior written consent. They actually said that. It lists various exceptions to this rule, including the vague and broad, quote, in connection with business or transaction bankruptcy proceedings, Instacart may collect or receive personal information related to you from law enforcement, public health, or other governmental authorities.
Yeah.
So you're sharing the information that I got on Instacart with the police and vice versa. I don't understand how that works. It's going to use your personal information to respond to requests.
The best part of this whole article is, will the company be adding a arrest warrant to the items that can be delivered within 30 minutes?
I know. You don't want to laugh at it because it's so massively wrong that this is even a thing.
You know, you've got a list of outstanding warrants, and Instacart lets you run through their client list. Who got what delivered when? Oh yeah, we've been looking for this guy. Where'd you deliver that cheeseburger and fry to?
Right, and to expound upon what you're saying, if you're like, well, I'll just use an alias or I'll use my cousin's name or the person that's sitting next to me. If you're getting medicine, if you have to get medicine, that's using your legal name and everything. So they're going to be able to track you down. And the one that affected me most about this article was when Instacart added, and I quote again, we may also disclose your personal information to other parties if we believe it necessary or appropriate to protect our operations and those of any of our affiliates. They're just basically saying, you sign up for Instacart, everything that you have is ours now.
Yeah.
Now,
this is to protect their rights, privacy, safety, or property.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're going to trounce my rights to protect the corporation's rights. got it.
Right, and it's like from a law perspective, there's nothing you can do about it. You signed the EULA. If you don't want that stuff shared, then don't sign the EULA and don't use Instacart. So it was like for a while, right after, like I'd say 2021 and some of 2022, the wife and I very much got into the habit of getting these delivery services for everything. I mean, everything. My wife abused it so bad that she once had an air conditioner delivered by an Uber to somebody on Facebook that she sold it to. Like, what point did we get to that everything's like this? Now we've gotten into a better habit of planning out our day and, stopping at the store or whatever we needed to do. We still have stuff delivered when we're in a pinch. But for the most part, we try to get it done ourselves and try to skim down. Because when you can order it, you order in so much shit because you're not there picking it up. I can tell you that we've spoke about it off air, that what my wife and I are trying to do right now is doing a daily food prep, I guess you could say. Like we decide midday or so what we want to do for dinner, and then we go out and we shop for the dinner. Now, breakfast and lunch, if you're eating that at the house or you're at home and you're not at work, then it's just whatever's left, maybe a leftover or something. But we decide what we want to do for dinner. And then we go to the store and we get just what we need for that dinner. And yeah, the fridge isn't as packed. But I find it that it's cheaper. And I'm at the store and I don't want to go, like, it's already annoying me that I'm trying to find stuffing or dough or some sort of random spice that I want to use. Well, spice I shouldn't say because there's always one spice section. But there's a bunch of other shit that I'm like, all right, we're not doing that. Cross that off the list. I can't even find it. I've been down 4 aisles. I'm not dealing with it. Yeah, if I go to Instacart or I go to something like that, then I can just turn around and pop it right on, let this person go to the store and find it. I don't give a shit how long it takes. I'm sitting down watching a movie. It's kind of like the dumbing down. But remember, people, you sign that EULA. Don't get pissed off when you sign these agreements and your information gets, there's a trick. And if you want to text us on the show notes and let us know if you want the trick that I use for Gmail to track who's tracking me. There's a trick you can do with your email when you sign up for something that will allow you to know that if that spam or that malware or not malware or that ad email that you got will indicate where it came from, who sold your information. I'll give you an example. I used that trick for Carvana, I think it was, back when I was looking for a car. Holy mother of God, they signed me up for everything. I'm getting stuff about like log cabins in the middle of nowhere to, Viagra to all sorts of shit. And it's just constantly going. And if that doesn't make you squirm, right, you can get a hold of the new AI that's built in to Windows. Probably not so good. Turns out that Copilot, which is baked into Windows as of June 18th, keeps all the information used by Recall, which we talked about last week. Recall's the new system, kind of like Time Machine for Apple. Recall's the same type of system. And we talked about how with Recall, it's just basically taking, like the headline was another one of those grabbers where it said, Microsoft's taking pictures of your desktop every few seconds. Well, yeah, it kind of is, because when you're doing the Recall, or in Apple's case, Time Machine, you open up that folder, that documents folder, it's going to keep a track of all the ones that you had going backwards until you find the file that you erased. That's how Recall works. So, of course, it's taking a sample picture every few seconds to be able to see if anything changed in the folder.
It's just stored locally, yeah.
Right. But they already have an exploit free.
And it's not new. This is nothing new. This is similar to taking database snapshots, which has been around forever and a day. Right. But they're just applying it to a personal computer use.
But it's dubbed Total Recall is the exploit. The tool can pull all the information that Recall saves in its main database on a Windows laptop. Why, you might ask? Because the database is completely unencrypted. It's all plain text. So many, many security professionals are already comparing Recall to what we can now call a Trojan 2.0.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be that easy to get information. Now, everybody's going to start bitching, moaning, whining, and complaining about how, oh, all my data. Stop. step back for a second. Either read the tech journal article or ask a tech friend. That's not going to blow you off because a lot of us are like, oh, I don't want to fucking answer that again. But you can ask these people. It's like Fremo said, it's a database. It's taking a picture of certain folders, right? If you have a giant text document, I've warned so many people about this. If you have a text document or a Word document with all your usernames and passwords on it, that's called a honeypot. And ain't nothing going to protect you because that's what the malware people and bad actors are trying to find. But if you don't have anything like that in your computer, all it is documents. So if I have a resume and I'm working on resume version 1, resume version 2, and accidentally delete version 1, I can backtrack using recall or, in Apple's case, whatever the fuck it's called, I forgot. Timeline. You can go back and you can retrieve that version 1 of your resume. So it does have its good points, but the fact that it's completely unlocked and wide open and non-encrypted, there's so many, and we're going to get into a story about Windows a little bit later on.
Which is not a problem if you're air-gapped, but
right.
For those of you who are like, what is that? Don't worry. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you're never going to implement it. So
don't bother. All right, so let's get into this week's music. Now, this was brought by my girlfriend, my daughter. My daughter brought this up. She gave me a list of like 5 or 6. She overheard me talking to the wife about how it's a pain in the ass that I said, let's do the summer of covers early. So like it's difficult. So she, bless her heart, came out with like 5 or 6 different covers. She tried not to keep it like super millennial. She tried to like do what she could to try to find something that we would like. And one of the first ones she came up with was this one is a Welsh pop band from Wrexham, kind of like that soccer team that you see on TV. They were formed in 2012. The name of the group is Neck Deep, and they're doing a cover of Torn, which is a pretty good tune on its own. This is not a bad cover at all. So we're going to get into Torn, then we're going to get into some gaming news. And I might have a surprise depending on how things are going in the gaming section. But then we're eventually going to talk about Windows again because I'm a little heated. Why are you giving me that look, Free?
I'm just trying to. You say that, and now the wheels are spinning. I'm trying to think of what it is you're going to go ranting on, but we'll find out soon enough.
Oh yeah, it's a rant. It definitely is a rant. Okay, here's Neck Deep, Torn, and we'll see you on the other side. Modelo, though, with the weather that I have out right now, I wish I had a dark one because it's cold and wet and miserable. What do you got? Are you muted? Because I didn't hear that crack open.
Nope, I'm not muted.
Oh, what'd you get?
I have.
What is that? Barks? Is that Barks? Oh, that's good stuff.
Yes,
Cheers.
it is. It's like a root beer. It's the only one that's got caffeine in it anymore.
Barks is so good.
But with everything that I got to do this afternoon,
yeah,
I went with the root beer today.
Why not?
Can't
be operating heavy machinery.
Oh no, it has nothing to do with the machinery. It has to do with freaking how hot it is. If I drink a couple of beers, I'm not going to want to. Oh yeah, it's ridiculously hot and muggy outside right now.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to 6 style.
Gaming.
All right, so first up, we have a PlayStation games for June. On the PlayStation Plus Essentials side, you're going to get AEW Fight Forever, which is a very good game. You might, if you're a wrestling fan, you might not like AEW, but that game is based on the old THQ. It's a really good, well-done game. Streets of Rage 4 and SpongeBob SquarePants The Cosmic Shake. Over at PlayStation Plus Extra, you're going to get Cricket 24, which still boggles my mind. I don't understand how that game works. I don't understand cricket at all. I've watched it. I've downloaded a game before in the past. I don't get it. I just don't get it. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas is also going to be on.
Pretty sure that game developed
in India
with no, that's a British thing. but I'm pretty sure it was like an aristocratic thing, and then like the commoners like started playing it and they were better. So then the aristocrats were like,
As
no,
always.
you forgot about this rule. What? That's a rule.
It's a rule now. On PlayStation Plus Premium, you're going to get Ghostbusters Rise of the Ghost Lord, Walkabout Mini Golf, Synth Riders, Before Your Eyes, The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners, Tomb Raider Legend, and Star Wars Clone Wars, and finally Sly Cooper. That's what you got over on PlayStation. On Xbox Game Pass.
Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus.
I didn't even see that part of it. Thievius Raccoonus. On Xbox, you're going to get, on Game Pass, you're going to get Firework on the PC. You're going to get Rolling Hills.
Talk about how awesome these games are on PlayStation.
Okay, we can talk about it.
Mind. Yeah, I forgot.
Yeah, because it's fucking reissues. Like, we can't do that every week. It's just, our disappointment just keeps going with PlayStation. And I turn it on like once or twice a week. If you watch Stick Style, I put the PlayStation on a broadcast. And every single time, like, first of all, let me give you an example. Helldivers, that we play a lot free. I have it on PlayStation. I have it on the PC. On the PC is my main gameplay. I play with I play with a lot of the Stick Style people. But I do have a version of it on the PlayStation. And no matter how many times I try to adjust the control, I have never adjusted the controls on the Xbox. Moving and looking all work exactly the same. I've never adjusted it. But on PlayStation, I'm constantly trying to adjust the 0 point. I'm trying to adjust everything to make it actually feel decent and not jump around left and right all the time. Anyway, I digress. It's a pain in the ass. So Game Pass for June. You're going to get Firework on PC. You're going to get Rolling Hills on the console, PC, and cloud. Octopath Traveler 1 and 2 on consoles, PC, and cloud. Depersonalization on PC. Isono on consoles, PC, and cloud. The Callisto Protocol on consoles, PC, and cloud. Still Wake the Deep on consoles. And as you can tell, now, people might be saying, oh, that's crap games. It's not that they're crap games. It's that they're different games. They're new games. They're games you might not have heard about. That's the point of Game Pass. They make it a point to have a AAA game.
Indie stuff. And I've thrown several of these small indie games on. And, I mean, some of them you can play through the whole game in like an hour.
Free. How many times do we play?
2 hours. And it's just something different. And they're unique. And the really crazy thing is a few of them have had some interesting mechanics that have ended up showing up in bigger games afterwards.
How much did we play So You Think You Can Park? It's not exactly a AAA title, but it was just stupid fun. Yeah, except for Fatal. Fatal Fastlane hated that fucking game. Like, he was in that game for about 20 minutes.
He hated it. He hated it because he wanted it to be a realistic driving game. No, it was not the point of the game.
It's not the
even
point
close
at all.
to the point of the game.
Yeah, if you want a game that can make you chuckle and just get one of those gaming frustrations that you get, like, oh, come on, what the hell? You want So You Think You Can Park is a fun little game, and you can play it on the couch. It's a good couch game for people that don't know how to play anything. You know, it's very little background. Up next, so that's the Game Pass games. Up next, I want to talk quickly about Sony and Bungie. Just, those poor bastards cannot wait for this to be over. And I'm talking about Destiny. So Destiny's been around for a while. Fremo and I and all of Stick Style played it in the beginning on the original Destiny. Destiny 2 came out. It was nice. It was fun. And then things started going like weird and sideways and way too complicated and convoluted. So we stopped. The game is not a bad game. It's just it wasn't for us. My youngest son has been playing it religiously, nonstop. I shouldn't say nonstop because he has to take breaks every once in a while because she gets stupid. Because it's Sony and Bungie. Okay? Bungie was great at one time. And then they weren't. When they kind of sold out, for lack of a better term. And
Couldn't have partnered up with a better company, Bungie. Good job.
And you can tell that they just want the Destiny, like the final downloadable content. The game is over. It'll still keep going. They'll keep, little things, but for the most part, Destiny 2 is done. The final DLC is out. The final story, they're wrapping it all up.
And it's so obvious that they're just phoning it in.
Oh yeah. My youngest says,
here's the DLC, and here's a list of things we already know y'all are going to hate about it because it don't work.
Right.
Deal with it.
And we're talking about Bungie has already warned people about a few of the problems already on the Destiny final shape. They also warned that 3D audio wasn't going to work, so disable the 3D audio function if you can. Click on the show notes to see all the problems. One of the other major problems, first, the Destiny community, originally the Destiny 2 Final Shape DLC was leaked. It was leaked like a week early, and Bungie and Sony didn't give a shit at all. They didn't care. They're like, yeah, sorry. Rest of you honest people are going to have to play next week. Stuff's broken. Sorry. But one of the things that happens in these downloadable contents and these storylines that Destiny 2 does is originally when it first comes out, you have to do a couple of different things to unlock your final boss. And then you go in and fight your final boss. The first team, it's global. So the first team that fights the final boss and wins, and it's not a short thing. It's not like going in there. We're talking like old Dungeons and Dragons, World of Warcraft, get into a cave, Leroy Jenkins type shit. So on the first day, in 19 hours, the story was beat. Once the story is beaten, everybody in the community gets access to everything left in that DLC, which is kind of cool. I mean, they released a couple of other things, but that's essentially what it is. So there was a team. I did watch some of the video. My youngest sent me the clip of the video of them doing it. It was work. These guys worked for 19 hours. Well, I shouldn't say 19 hours. Within 19 hours of the launch, it was beaten. Yeah, my youngest said that it was tough, but then he said the same thing. He's like, and now it's done. He's like, I closed up a bunch of storylines, but there's still all sorts of issues. It's nice that when you pop back online, if the final boss in the DLC is done, you get a clip of a video and they call out usually a specific team that beat it. They don't call it the individual gamer tags, but they call out the team that beat it, which I think is really nice. Everything's unlocked now for the rest of the community, which is awesome. But they just don't care at this point. They just want this to be done. And it's sad because you have no other IPs that are worth a damn, Sony. You don't. How much are you going to do with Spider-Man and God of War? What do you have left to do? Because I can tell you that Helldivers is extremely hot right now. Freeman and I play it a couple of times a week. So does the rest. I mean, I can name off people in Stick Style that play that game multiple times a week. And even then, it's on PlayStation and it's on PC, and more people are playing it on the PC than on the PlayStation. Yep. So, again, get your shit together, Sony. Before I start off on that rant, let's move on to the MSI Claw. I just got a processor update, which is nice. So it got shit on when it first came out. MSI Claw is another standalone handheld gaming system. Very similar to a Steam Deck or the Asus Failure. I don't remember what that was called, but I can't tell you how many of those are broken. And now MSI has moved it to the Lunar Lake chipset. Now remember that MSI is the only handheld using Intel. The updated handheld will have an additional USB-C port, better shoulder buttons, larger battery. The 8-inch screen will do 1080 at 120 hertz, which, I mean, I do that right here. That's exactly what I use. Yeah. But they also have a Fallout edition, which I think is really cool. They have a Fallout edition because, why not capitalize on a proper popular franchise that just came out? That's good. Super hot again. But I put a picture in the show notes. The Fallout edition of the MSI Claw is very cool looking and looks really nice. Now, before we end our Stick Style segment today, Microsoft is doing an announcement today, and I'm trying to get it. They were doing the announcement at noontime. We're at 12:30 now, so I don't see a lot of updates right now on the show itself. So it might have to be something we covered next week. Xbox Game Showcase 2024. So they're not even dumping information yet. They're just putting up the links right now as to how to get there. So we're going to have to do that story next week. I was hoping that was going to be the surprise for this week. I was wrong. So let's get into For What It's Worth. Oh, and here comes our rants. Let me take a sip of beer first because I'm going to need it. Okay, so why can't Microsoft? There's going to be a lot of swearing. So if you have kids in the car and you're listening to this, I would strongly suggest that you listen to
Chucking
later.
them out the window. I mean,
No, Free, no. No.
Oh, that's going to give me some hate mail.
Why can't Microsoft leave anything alone, Free? Why? For years, us IT people, I know money.
They want that money.
For years, us IT people and Microsoft have been waging a secret war that nobody else knows about local accounts on their products, right?
Yeah.
So it goes like this. It's your computer. You should be able to log in whenever and however you want. It's your freaking computer. Without connecting to a bunch of account IDs and the internet and all that stuff, it's your computer. You might want to do something that's localized and not online. If I wanted that experience, if you wanted an experience of you don't mind logging in and everything, think of a Chromebook. You have to put in your Google ID and password. It's basically a slave device. It just connects to the internet, and then you have all your Google products. Not a bad product. There's some really nice Chromebooks out there, really solid. But that's that experience, and you're expected on that.
There's a place for that. There's a place.
Exactly. Exactly. The studio desktop right here, for instance, never leaves my house. I'm the only one using it. I shouldn't have to. Why do I need to even see a login screen? It should just boot directly to Windows. In fact, as a Microsoft insider, I really think Windows 11 peaked about 4 months ago. I don't know if you have to do updates on the corporate side, Free, but would you agree with that statement? Like about 4 months ago, 11 was solid, really good looking, no problems. They were putting RGB control.
There's some different issues once you're.
I'm not talking corporate. I'm not talking the corporate side. I'm talking the regular side. So it's starting to go downhill for the average consumer. First, they added an AI via Copilot. Then they injected ads into it. Now you have the notifications. The notifications in the lower right of the screen are getting completely obnoxious and are out of control with malware. I've had, the other day I had like 3 or 4 clients come in that were just like stupefied, completely stupefied on the fact that they were being told that they had 450 viruses. A pop-up will come up, 450 viruses. I had to click on the 450 viruses because I have no idea what I'm doing. Oh, wait, we got to take a quick break. I can't even start. I can't even continue this. We got Little Man. What's going on, Little Man?
You say hi, man. You can say hi now. No, you have to speak normal.
Hi.
Hey, how you doing, buddy?
This
Yeah. What?
There's Ezra.
You gonna help Papa outside later?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Good, because you need to get some work done. Papa's getting old, and he might break a hip out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Papa doesn't have the headset on, so he can't hear me right now. But he could break a hip. You know, he could get hurt. You gotta really. Oh, see, now Papa's going to listen because he's not sure what I might be saying.
You ready? All right, tell him bye. Say it loud enough to be heard.
Bye.
Oh, bye.
Oh, peanut butter jelly.
Peanut butter jelly time. Peanut butter jelly time. Peanut butter jelly time. All right, Free. So back to what we were saying.
Real quick,
Yeah.
when I got the gift and I pull it out
Yeah.
and I look at it and I just start laughing. And he asked me, "What is it, Pop Pop?" So I turned it around and he goes, "Pop Pop Phoenix, Pop Pop Phoenix," and just starts laughing.
That's
They're
awesome.
like, "He knows who Phoenix is?" I'm like, "Yeah, he talks to him." I'm like, okay.
Yeah, well, once a week. Yeah. So, like I was saying, Windows 11 I think it peaked about 4 months ago. Since then, it's just going downhill. They added AI via Copilot. Then they injected ads into the operating system, and the notifications are getting obnoxious and they're out of control with malware. And what I mean by that is just yesterday alone, I had 4 people come to my counter, 4 clients that all had the same problem. They had the pop-up notifications. They were derived from Edge and Chrome, and they all said the same thing. You have 450 viruses on your computer. McAfee, you have 450 viruses on your computer. If you had 450 viruses on your computer would not be running. It just wouldn't be running. They'd all be fighting for a processor.
Resources.
Yeah. So that's not even a thing, and I wish they would stop. Most of the time I spend just shutting off the notifications bar so FOPs don't turn around and click on it and go, "I'm infected again." We've had one guy that came in that this was his 4th time this month. He's like, I bring it to you people and I pay all this money to have you guys clean it out, and then it tells me I'm infected again. I'm like, okay, first of all, what sites are you going to? You know what? Don't answer that. Number 2, these are all pop-up ads that are all BS. They're not even true. And now you may never even be able to use the local account login again. So local accounts allow you to control more of your own data and your privacy on your computer. This is like what I was talking about before.
And just the way it works.
Yeah. It's not constantly dialing out and constantly dialing home. You may want to log in to your computer.
Think about this. You have a game that you've modded.
Yep.
That you play locally. You may not be able to do that anymore.
Right.
It's internet connected. It may be, the developers could easily put the code in there that says, "Hey, check the files, the
check
source
connection.
files, and if any of them are changed, it kills the program or it overwrites it with the originals again." And
I think that one of the best examples is writers and coders. Because they could be at a bus terminal, they could be at a cookout, they could be anywhere they want to be, and they might not have an internet connection, but they want to pop in and write something down for their journal, for their book. They might remember a piece of code that they wrote wrong and want to jump in and replace that code. You don't need to be online to do that. But if you don't have a local account set up on your computer, it's never going to let you in because you have to have an internet connection. Now, when you set up a computer, Microsoft is going to force you to create an account. Then, of course, no one pays attention. So when you see a blank line and it says email address, they never think to create a new one just for this device. Instead, they just put in their AOL or their Yahoo address. That right there should give you an inkling of who I'm talking about. A Yahoo or an AOL address. Apple's a good example. First thing you see when you set up your new iPhone is email address.
And ID.
Correct. Yep. And even if you click on create an account, the next thing is that word email again. So a lot of times people put their Gmail or their AOL or whatever it is, and that becomes your Apple ID. And then when I ask you, what's your password? You never know because it could be 2 different passwords. And 9 times out of 10 it is. Either you typed your original password wrong.
You're not going to use a fake email account to get in because they're going to validate.
Mm-hmm. Verification.
So
yep.
They're going to be like, okay, we just sent a verification code to that email.
Exactly. So if you're using a fake
code in to proceed.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
This creates so much password confusion. It's not even funny. And now Microsoft is patching Windows installations so that the tricks that we used to use to make a local account aren't going to work anymore. One of the tricks that we would do is as the ball was turning to look up online, you just unplug the hardwire connection. And it would say, oops, something went wrong. Let's create a local account. There used to be a button on early Windows 10 Down the lower left-hand corner, no internet. You can click on that and create a local
I mean,
account.
you can still do domain join, but there's a whole lot
There's
involved with being able to do that your average user
people aren't
is
going to do
not
that.
going to do. So
Exactly. I haven't had a chance to try the new one, any new ones, because remember,
even then, once you domain join it, they're assuming your domain is a Microsoft shop, and they're still looking for an account.
And a lot of times in the retail environment, the computers that are on the floor haven't had the latest update yet, so they could still work. But eventually, that's gonna be gone, and they're gonna have the latest updates. So I haven't had a chance to try it at work yet, but you're gonna need to create a Microsoft account. There's just so many things to dislike on the new build of the operating system. Now, let me be clear. Tech people like me and Fremo, we're going to tweak everything so that we don't have all the extra ads or BS on the taskbar and Copilot and search features and news update. We're gonna tweak that. But the average user, I'm talking about the parent or the aunt or the uncle that don't know any better. I see them on a daily basis, and they're constantly going to do this.
People that aren't going to know they can go into still access the old control panel, add, remove Windows features, and turn stuff off.
Right. And at the same point, the current workaround using OOBE and then getting into your DOS prompt in there and disabling it, that'll still work. Apparently, right now, that's working. And what I'm saying by OOBE mode, if you don't know what that is, then you probably shouldn't be in it, but it is open box experience. It's just a safe way. If you ever wondered how MSI, Alienware, they get their stuff on the computer and it looks like it's a brand new computer anyway, and you still got to do all because they're using that mode to download all their proprietary software and then backing out of it, so it's like a brand new computer. It's quite efficient, but right now that's the only way to take care of it. And I think it's really, really shitty that Windows is doing this, because there was a time 4 or 5 months ago that I was saying, Windows. You actually called me out on it because I said Windows is pretty much there. I'm using both equally, Windows and Apple, and I can go either way. It doesn't even bother me anymore. Windows is very good at what it does. Now I'm having trouble saying that again, because now there's just so much BS that you can't even get through it half the time.
That's funny to hear you say that.
Why?
Because all Microsoft is doing is trying to create their own universe like Apple already has.
But Apple doesn't do all that intrusive shit. I don't get ads on my Apple. I do not get ads popped up. I don't get these stupid notifications. The only notifications I get are the ones that I actually turned on.
Right.
It's opt out, not opt in. No, it's opt out, not opt in. Where Microsoft is opt in, you have to opt out.
Same difference.
Moving on, douche.
Difference.
It's not the same difference.
Oh, I'm not saying they're there yet, but that's what they're doing.
You're such an ass. All right.
Is that not what they're doing? You have to have your Microsoft account, which will be for your computer, your Xbox, blah, 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 blah.
Yes, you are correct. I'm not going to argue that point.
They're going to create their own universe that you get locked into, which, I think was the main reason. I still use, not because I'll be the first to admit, Microsoft's OS until recently hasn't been competitive in so many ways with Apple.
Okay.
But you still had control of your stuff.
Yes.
So that pro outweighed the cons for me. The direction that they're going, I may be moving to Linux here soon.
I've thought about that. I have really thought about that in a lot of different scenarios. I'm like, I could just put a Linux box right here and just be done with all this BS.
If I had the free time, I'd go back to Unix.
Oh, come on. Shut up. You know what I miss doing? I miss riding a bicycle. I know this sounds stupid, but I miss riding a bicycle. But because of my weight, you have to understand I'm 6'3". And the pandemic didn't do me justice at all. I gained a shit ton of weight, and then I've been having
6'3".
But I'm way heavier than you. I'm well over 300 pounds.
Well, we can build you a bicycle using 2-inch tubular steel.
They do have bicycles that are for my size, but they're extremely expensive. They're not like going down to Walmart. I can't go buy a 27-inch Schwinn without breaking it. The seats don't go up high enough. There's a lot of problems, but I can look. The point is that I miss riding a bike. It's expensive to get a bike, and I will eventually get back to where I need to be. And in looking for a bike, I came across this wonderful, wonderful little thing. It's called the Swytch electric bike conversion. You bring your own bike. So if you have a bike that you really like, and it could be anything from, it's just completely brilliant. It's a simple electronic engine that connects to your front tire. Sounds simple enough, right? But the brilliance is the design. The kit comes with a front tire hub, that's the motor, a pedal sensor, and a battery pack. You have 2 flavors on this thing. It's called the Go and the Air. One's large, one's smaller for different ranges like you see in most electric vehicles. And they custom fit to every bike. You can have a hybrid bike, a road bike, a mountain bike, a folding bike, a step-over bike. It's just amazing. And depending on the capacity, for instance, the Go range is, the Go unit is from 15 miles to 60 miles. And it's a bigger battery, of course. And then the Air and the Air Max is 7 miles to 20 miles, roughly. Now, they have different versions of each of these, and the design is perfect. It's not this kludgy thing on your bicycle. It's a bicycle hub for the front tire. It's a thing that you slap onto where your crank is on your pedal, and then you have a wire that runs up to the battery. Whether you put the battery on the frame below you, because it's the bigger one, or the smaller one, the Air, you can put right on the front of the handlebars. It's well thought out. Now, it's going to set you back about $400 to $800 roughly. Now, you might be thinking, that's ridiculous. Really? Because electric bikes or electric hybrid bikes are like $2,000. Like, they range from $1,000 to $2,000. If you already have a bike that you really like, say you have a Mongoose you've had for years, you ride it all the time, you really like the bike.
So where does it get it? Is it solar, or is it grabbing energy when you pedal?
It's grabbing energy when you pedal. You can charge the battery pack, but it's going to replenish energy on the pedaling and on the front hub. It's really a great design for you. It really is. And for $400 to, for that kind of money, it fits into a budget instead of buying an electric bike that there's only like 1 or 2 trick ponies there. Like, they're very basic electric bike. Like, we have 2 people that come by the house all the time that have them. One has one of those small miniature bicycles that are electric, and another one has a black, looks like a mountain bike, but there's so much stuff on it to make it electric.
How much
what? Okay, good talk.
How much torque it's actually going to provide to that front tire?
Well, it's enough to be able to pull you up a
more,
hill.
More of like an assist, probably, right?
Right. So the ones that come by my house, you're not gonna run all the way across town like a motorcycle. But on the uphills, you've made enough energy that should be able to assist you up the hill or do it for you, depending on how big the hill is. So again, it's not that bad. All right. So finally, give it a look. Click on the link in the show notes. And finally, this week, we're going to do a little throwback. We're going to talk about the SpaceTop Laptop. I believe we talked about it at CES last time, and Fremont and I were like, wow, how come nobody's come up with this already? Do you remember?
I told you once they got to the Johnny Mnemonic level, I'm in.
Yeah, and this is pretty much the Johnny Mnemonic. Yeah, this is pretty much it. And we talked about it before, and we were like, all right, this may or may not come out. It wasn't a polished unit when you saw it at CES, but the concept was there and you understood what they were going for. Well, now it's ready. This is a laptop without a screen. So just think of your laptop at home and take off the screen. Instead, you have a cord that connects to eyeglasses that project the laptop screen on the glasses. When we first talked about it, we were wondering why no one else has done this. Like I said before, the laptop has a Snapdragon processor, 128 gigs of storage, 16 gigs of RAM, 2 USB-C ports. Now, you might be thinking, wow, that's not a lot. This is for people that are on the go, when you're flying on a plane, when you're doing certain things, and you have the ability to do that. You don't really, when you're working web-based stuff or SAS, software as a service, a lot of times these are going to be online. They're going to be web-based. So you're not going to need all that hard drive space. You really don't. And it should be for a work computer anyway. This isn't designed to be a gaming computer. You can connect on those 2 USB ports. You can connect an external monitor if you want, which is great. The glasses have 2 OLED displays that run at 1080, 90 hertz. That's not too bad for your day-to-day activities. Not too bad at all. So you'll be dropping in October. The final results, October. Pre-order it now. October is what it's going to be. It's going to be $1,900. A little bit on the expensive side, but look what you're getting with it. You're getting the ability to have this, basically your keyboard on your laptop with nothing else, just your keyboard and the size of the bottom half of your laptop, and then you go to glasses. Very much like Freemo was saying, Johnny Mnemonic.
Yep, all they're missing now are the gloves.
Yep, the gloves for yeah, and that's I
Once
can't
they get
even
that.
I can't even say that that's far off because we're doing that now with a lot of the VR stuff.
Well,
Apple
I mean,
especially.
you already have that one company that's got the holographic keyboard.
Yeah, and you could do that.
projects
In
onto
fact,
a
they
flat
had that at
surface
Johnny
and-
Mnemonic.
Yeah,
They had the holographic keyboard.
they just need to bring it all together. I'm in. Thank you, Keanu. You're a visionary.
All right, you have anything else this week?
Nope.
All right, that's it for this week. 10's down, show's over.
Whoop, whoop.
So you can find more of this garbage at bgfgonline.com. You can also send us an email with your questions or suggestions at bgfgshow@gmail.com. Find our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Overcast, Podcast, Castro, Castbox, Podchaser, and YouTube. Thank you for listening.